Okay, you bring your chin down a little bit. We barely fit as it is. All right, this probably needs to go over here.
Okay,
You can't really see much.
Pepper with this. With this.
Scissors for anything.
Now, what are you going to cut and what do you want me to cut? There's peppers to cut, there's garlic to chop. You'll do the garlic and the ginger straight away, and the cilantro.
Yes, I'll do
There's
garlic
peppers,
and
onions,
ginger.
chicken.
You do the onions and the peppers. I'll do the sugar snap peas.
Okay. And you want these in thin strips like julienne, and you want this in chunks. Yes, 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 yes. I always get stuff before the show.
Oh, Lord. Somehow we've started.
Wait, what?
Say hi.
Hey. Why'd you already start?
I have no idea, but
How
it
many
started.
People are going to have to mill around for 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm back. Hi, Pam.
Pam, which Pam?
Williams.
Hi.
I don't know how I started it, but it started. Lord only knows how long we've been going.
You get to see our Mormo, which is me just swinging this knife around. You just were like,
I don't know how I did that.
it's lucky, I guess. What time is it?
5:56.
Huh? Our clock's telling us it's 6. We've got one that says 6. We've got one that says 5:55. One that says 5:56. One that's already went off being 6 o'clock, and one over there on the wall that says 5:58.
That's the way we do it.
You technically never know what time it is around this joint. You know, the thing is, we're gonna have to somehow edit all this out whenever I try and post this video. We just got Dee Dee walking right through.
No, you did.
That's what? I don't know how to do that. I don't really know how to edit a video.
That's your job, though. Have to figure it out, I suppose. I don't know how I started it ahead of time.
You hit the go button.
I guess so.
What you got people saying?
Yeah. All right.
Well, we gotta wait for everyone.
Well, we could just get going. Okay.
This is Sarah's Christmas present. Well, part of it. She always gets like 900 things.
No, I don't.
Anyway, this is one of them. I'm going to use this. I gotta use the official Keeton in the kitchen knife.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I don't use it because it cuts me off my finger every time I use it. But it does say Keeton in the kitchen.
I think we have everything we need.
Yeah, this will give everybody a chance to get their stuff. They need the chicken, they need the coconut milk, they need the ginger, garlic, peppers, onions, cilantro, I already said ginger, snap peas, and curry paste. We have fish sauce out too. Sarah usually puts a little fish sauce in there. If you have it, I'll talk about that in a minute. If you have it, pull it out. A little splash is good. The one thing we don't have is basil. There's no fresh basil. Evidently, coronavirus killed all the fresh basil in the world.
Yeah, I couldn't find it. We tried multiple
So
times.
there's no fresh basil. We're going to get by without it, and that really plays well into me always saying if you don't have a little something, still make the recipe. It's going to be good.
It's going to be fine.
Fantastic.
It's going to be good.
That's exactly right. What
We
time
still
is it?
have 2 minutes.
No, I'm not really running out of things
You
to
never
say.
run out of anything.
I never
to
really
say.
run out of anything to say. Sarah picked some nice flowers this week. A nice little walk. I was covered in deer ticks. I actually got into a nest of deer ticks.
Yeah, that wasn't
Had
fun.
about 50 at one time.
I'd go with more like 30, but it was a lot.
It was a lot.
They were everywhere.
They were everywhere.
They were not attached,
Yeah,
though.
they didn't
So that
know
was
who
good.
they were messing with though.
Dee Dee picked these.
Yeah, that's pretty. Black-eyed Susans and some kind of yellow flower.
I don't think those are black-eyed Susans. And I picked
The
these.
wheels turned a little slowly. Tell them what you got in there.
Oh, let's see. There's larkspur. There is some baby's breath. Boy, some of this stuff. Oh, pink fire, but it's past prime.
Yeah, it's really pretty when it's good. And then you also have some geodes.
Oh, butterweed.
In the bottom, yeah, butterweed. Some geodes in the bottom. I don't know if you noticed, but I slid the geodes in there for you.
Yeah, they are.
So
there.
your jar would have nice little geodes in it. We have one single little tomato that's sort of hanging around, hoping to be placed into a recipe, but we're sort of shunning it. Not including
It's on that side.
Yeah, we're not including it. It's like the Rudolph of the
I'm hiding
vegetables.
it from Eden because
Or to-
Eden eats those like
or
grapes.
the fruits. Some
Mhm.
people say they're fruits.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm
All right,
assuming.
it's 6. Let's
okay,
go.
we're close enough.
Somehow we got started a few minutes
We
early.
got started a few minutes early. If you want to see some really funny banter, go back
Yeah,
and check.
right.
This is Keeton's without the S in the kitchen. We're back. This is, I believe, week 5 or week 6.
5.
5.
Yeah.
We have an official Keeton in the kitchen knife. So to let you know that this is the official show and not some wannabe, not some Chinese knockoff of our show.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, so we are making tonight, not we, Sarah's making her curry, Thai curry. Now, you'll see this called Thai green curry, you'll see it called Thai red curry. We're going to make the red because in Carrollton, at the grocery store, all we could find was the red curry paste. It works fine. And I will say this about curry, if you've never had curry before. The single best, or within the top 2 or 3 flavor profiles of any food you will eat anywhere.
It's literally my favorite food.
Yeah, it's
Love it.
sweet, it's a little spicy, it's hearty, it's thick, it's creamy, it's everything you could want in a flavor profile of a food, and it's extremely easy. So Sarah, it's her #1 favorite food. When her and I got together, this has been years ago now, I didn't really know curry. Sarah came along, she brought curry in, she had her little bag, she was carrying in a curry in the bag, first time I ever met her, it's a crazy story, she had curry with her. Anyway, so I'm going to turn this over to her. A lot of these things, she sort of says, hey, you take the lead. No, curry's her deal. This is the single biggest, it's not really a night, evening, afternoon, in the history of Facebook Live. Sarah Keeton doing her Thai curry. You don't want to miss this, so I'm going to put this down. You take over. You tell me where you want me.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay, I'm the boss. So we are going to start with rice. You put this over rice.
2 to 1.
Yes, 2 to 1 ratio.
So I have 3 cups of water.
Yes.
1 cup of rice.
1.5 cups of rice.
1.5. Yes, it's like 2 to 1 math that got me. We've been doing this online learning thing.
So you want to add a little bit of salt and a little bit of oil. And he puts his rice right in. I wait till it boils, but he does it a little different.
He's a renegade.
Yeah, he does his own thing. That's how it goes.
He's a renegade.
So we're going to get the rice started. If the rice gets finished ahead of time, it can just sit and chill.
We talk about on our recipes a lot, not to interrupt you, that, that timing is one of the big questions that I get a lot. I'm making 4 different things and everything needs to come out at the right time. Part of timing is to always understand what you're cooking and what can sit and what can't.
Right.
So rice can sit.
Right.
So start to do this earlier if you want. If you wanted to make this at noon today and set it on the back, it doesn't matter. You're going to mix it in later on. So part of timing is understanding what you're cooking and what can be done early. Do that stuff early or start it first, let it sit, and then work on your other stuff that's kind of bam, 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 this needs to cook right now, this needs to be served hot, blah, blah, blah. So.
Right. Well, in this recipe, it's kind of layered, and it's because everything kind of cooks at different times. So we're going to kind of layer it. You'll see how I like to do it. So we're going to start with the rice. The next thing I'm going to start working on is the sauce. I'm going to do the sauce separate. I'm going to do the meat separate, and I'm going to do the vegetables separate. So all because they have different cooking times. And then at the very end, we'll get a great big platter. We'll do rice, we'll do vegetables, we'll do meat, and we'll pour the sauce all over the top. So this is fresh ginger. This is what I like to use. If I'm in a hurry and I don't want to peel and grate ginger.
Hurry for curry.
So I will use this This is, Gourmet Garden fresh ginger stir-in paste. This works just as well, so that's good. But if you're gonna do the fresh ginger, comes in, what do you call this?
Root.
A root. And you kind of have to be careful here because you're gonna peel the skin off. Actually, that's not the knife I like to use. I like to use this knife. So I'm peeling towards myself. You want to be careful there, but you just want to kind of scrape the very, very top of the skin off.
You could use a peeler for this as well if you had a vegetable peeler. I always think a knife works a little bit better than a peeler in just about every single circumstance, but some people like to use peelers, so.
Yeah, so we're just going to scrape the skin right off the top of this one. You'll need about an inch to inch and a half, maybe 2 inch piece.
Show people that while you're doing that. Okay.
And I tightened the top of that.
Good, so it doesn't flop over. Yeah, that's good. So you got your ginger.
So I've got that piece. And I mean, if I really wanted to go in and do these little pieces, I could, but for the sake of television, I'll just grab a larger piece. We're gonna add ginger to the sauce. We're gonna add ginger to the vegetables. That's the other part of kind of layering something or doing things in steps. Is I like to add a flavor profile to each piece of it. You don't want to just do meat or just do vegetables. You want to kind of mimic that flavor profile throughout, so when you put it together, ooh, this piece is being tough. I'm gonna have to actually cut that. When you put
And that's why you want to take that off. I've seen recipes where people use this ginger with the peels on. I don't see how you do that a lot of times because sometimes those peels are just tough.
They're tough and they can be bitter. So once you have it peeled, so we've got probably 2 1-inch pieces. I'm going to take a grater and we're going to grate this down.
You can chop it really finely. It tends to be kind of stringy.
Right.
So
you'll
if you
see, as I feed this through the grater, you're going to get a lot of kind of the stringy stuff left behind. And that's part of the reason why I grate it, is because if it is real stringy or real fibrous, I don't really want that in my food or in my sauce. So that's what it's looking like on this side. And we're going to be left with this great big kind of fibrous extra right here. I'm going to go ahead and toss that. You could, use it if you wanted, or if you were, say, running low on ginger. I've done it in the past.
just kind of finely chop it with a knife or something.
Yeah.
Because grate it, you're only going to get, I guess, to the wherever you're going to grate your knuckles down.
Right. Then you do have to be careful. Whoop. Well, shoot.
Chucked it.
Chucked it. Let's rinse it.
Yeah, we don't want the fashion police after us.
Rinse it. I mopped the floors today. We're good.
Okay, so you grated up your ginger. You're grating up your ginger.
Yes, I sure am, baby.
I'm going to go ahead and open this canned coconut milk. I'm not going to do anything more than that because a lot of people at home only have one person doing this, and we don't want to get too far ahead where everybody's sort of behind, but I just opened this. Again, these are simple things that people don't always think about, but this can come into your cooking in your preparation and stuff, just like that right there. If we had several cans of something that we were going to open for a recipe, which we may do something down the road one of these days, so it does require several cans. If we had done that ahead of time, that would all be out of the way, and I'll give you a perfect example is if you're making, say, refried beans. And you've got a bunch of cans, and you've got people waiting, and you've got beef or chicken or whatever going, you're making your fajitas, and you want your beans. So you wait till the last second, now you're over here opening this can, and then you got to take it over here and drain it, which of course we're not going to on this, but you get the point. You could save a whole lot of time if you just put a little thinking into, let's go ahead and do this. This would have only saved us 10 seconds, but times several cans, draining it, putting it back in something, that can all save you time. So always think about where can I save time and where can I sort of get ahead in these recipes so that when the time comes and the pressure's on and the heat's in, the kitchen's on, I'm not sitting here having to go, oh, I forgot to do this and I forgot to do this and make the whole thing more stressful.
Okay, so I'm going to divide my ginger kind of into 2/3, one pile, 1/3 the other. I'm gonna put 2/3 of it in my sauce and about 1/3 of it in with my vegetables later on.
Okay.
And now I'm gonna move on to garlic. We've got 3 cloves. I'm being kind of chintzy on the garlic tonight because, I mean, really honestly, you could add much more garlic to this if you wanted to.
Probably add 4 or 5 pretty easy.
Oh yeah, pretty easy. We put 3 on the,
Yeah, so we'll stick with
we'll
it.
just stick with that, but thank you, baby. Alright, so we're just gonna kind of give this garlic a rough chop to start. Okay. And then I'll kind of just go back through and work my knife through a little bit.
That's ending up in about 1/8" pieces. 16 to 1/8. I mean, she's not spending, doesn't look like a ton of time really worrying about this, but it's pretty finely chopped. Now you can grate it. You can drop it into a grater and press it out. We also have the rolling garlic wheel of death, which Clay got us, which is fantastic. It's this little guy right here. We call it the rolling garlic wheel of death. There's little blades that go.
Actually, more than anything, because the little blades go down into the garbage disposal all the time.
Yeah.
And then it's going for a ride, the garbage disposal, and then it's like garbage disposal and blades.
Yeah, that you got to pick out with your
That
little
you have,
hand.
yes, uh-huh.
But
And
anyway.
I have small hands, so guess who gets that?
Yeah, I can't get my hands in the disposal, honey. But we do have this. This thing works really good. Another little gadget. We talked a little bit about gadgets last week. You just put your garlic in the top, you close it, you wheel it, the little garlic rolling wheeler of death, and it chops it right up for you. So just another little gadget.
All right, so to get this sauce going, you're gonna bring it over here.
Yep.
I'm going to start with a cup of chicken broth. You got. All right. That's good enough. You're gonna put that down into your pie. Then I'm gonna come over with the majority of my ginger. Put that in.
So that's about 2/3 of the ginger that she did.
And I'm going to do about 1/3 of my garlic. Okay.
You can see our rice is boiling over there in the background. We need to probably turn the heat way down on that. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to add my coconut milk. And if you've never used coconut milk before,
Tends to kind of be thick on the top.
don't let this fool you because I have been burned before. Underneath this is the cream of the coconut milk. It solidifies. Kind of think along the lines of like coconut oil. And then underneath will be all the juice. So I have stuck my spoon down in there before and taken a coconut milk shower.
And you want all that. You want the juice, you want the
everything.
cream, you want it all. That adds a lot of flavor to it.
Yeah, so all the fat creamy stuff is in the salad part. So you're gonna let that, as it heats up, it will start to liquid.
So that's roughly a cup of chicken broth, 1 can of coconut milk,
Yep.
probably a garlic clove, maybe a garlic clove and a half, and about an inch piece of ginger in that.
Right. And then what I'm
So
gonna do,
show them this little jar whenever you come over here. This is curry paste. There is a way to make curry sort of the other way where you can just get all the individual ingredients. You're better off probably if you want to save some time getting the paste, simply because it has everything already in it.
well, let's see. In here, it just says spices, including red chili pepper, garlic, lemongrass, salt, shallot, coriander root, and kefir lime peel. So a lot of these ingredients, one, are hard to find. I mean, I think probably if we went to Jungle Gems up in Indianapolis, we could probably find all of
Cincinnati.
Did I say Indianapolis? Cincinnati. And we could probably find all of these ingredients, but one, they're hard to find, and two, you're gonna make gallons of this paste and it would take you forever to go through it because you don't really use that much of it. So I'm gonna go in and just get myself 2 real heavy spoonfuls. And I'm going to taste test this after it gets going a little bit.
She has her spoon wedged.
My spoon is stuck. And I might add more.
This is a low budget operation. I'm telling y'all, we've got spoons that literally get stuck in the jars.
Mm-hmm.
Whisk it all up.
So we'll give this a little whisk.
That's what it kind of looks like. Just a kind of a pinkish, orangish sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Now you'll notice too, this sauce is not going to be thick.
No.
A lot of times we thicken our sauces in a lot of these recipes. This is not going to be thick at all. This is a very thin recipe.
Yeah. So we're going to let that get going, and it's just going to come to a boil.
And you have the temperature on about medium.
I
so
do.
It's on roughly medium, slightly medium high.
All right, so this is like 2 additions that you can do. I didn't add this in the ingredient list. It's fish sauce. It scares some people. It's fermented fish juice is basically what it is. But it is a key ingredient to most Thai cuisine. And it's really just salty. I mean, there's a little bit of fish flavor to it, but for the most part,
If you're put off by fish,
salty.
don't worry about buying a bottle of that. If you like fish, you don't really mind fish, it's worth having a bottle around because it goes good in a lot of other recipes too. A lot of Asian recipes that you're going to make, Chinese food, things like that, you can use a lot of fish sauce.
Yes. And this particular curry paste is not spicy at all. I don't think at all. It's just more flavorful. Shawn likes spicier foods, so I will add just a little bit of crushed red pepper to this.
Oh, she's a cutie.
Just because.
She's a cutie.
All right, so we're just going to let that hang out, and then we'll come over here and start working on our meat and our vegetables.
So this is basically what you're saying, like a 3-part operation. You've got your rice going, you've got your sauce going, and you've got... I try and do this without... I know, it's your top of your head's closer than the top of my head. So we got to figure out a way that we can still see the tops of everyone's heads.
So where do you want me back?
You're doing chicken. We got to get our meat going next.
One thing I'll say about this too, if you have chicken breasts, boneless chicken breasts, just cut them up. We have thighs.
I see the top of your head. We're good. You did good.
I've already boned a few of these, but I'm going to show you a little trick with these. If you got the bone in, that's the cheapest ones. And I tend to like them with the skin on. You get a lot of flavor out of the skin. So if you got boneless ones, that's good. If you got the bone in, if you'll take your knife and you'll slice, and then you'll slice right down the bone. So if you're looking at this, I'm slicing. Can you see that? You slice right down this bone. Now, we talk a lot of times in here about different knives and stuff. The knife that takes this bone out is not going to be the best knife to chop this meat up with. But anyway, I've got a small knife here that will kind of wedge around. And all I want to do is cut around this bone, kind of on both sides. Just give it a little slice, and you need a sharp knife. If you'll take your fingers and you just reach behind that bone, this bone will pull right out. And when you get down to the bottom of it, you just slice it off like so. Let me throw it in the waste can. What you got to watch out for anytime you're using thighs, you take that bone out, everything's good to go. What you tend to miss a lot of times is this little knuckle right here at the top of this that fit right in to the top of that thigh bone. So this little piece right here gets missed a lot. It blends right in, you can't hardly see it. And then you don't want to eat that because that's really tough. So you don't want to be chewing on that. We've just deboned that, so we have this thigh here. Really what you'd want to do is switch to a little bit bigger knife. This is a really small knife, but this knife is really sharp, so I'm going to go ahead and use it. And I'll show you why. As this chicken skin and fat or whatever it is gets on your fingers, it makes this knife blade this knife handle really slick. So you have to be really careful when you're doing this that this thing doesn't slide down. I'll show you. You just kind of saw me working here. This knife is really sharp, but it's still wanting to pull this down. Now, if I go over here and I get a lot bigger knife that I have a lot more sort of torque on, it makes this a lot easier. So see how it still kind of pulls that a little bit, but it cuts right on through this. So I cut this into about 1/2 inch strips. I lay them out like so, and then I just go across them to cut them into chunks. So there's one. Cut through that 2. Remember how I talked about in that very first episode? Always make that first cut going away from you. Really saves the old fingers. These I deboned earlier, so we're just going to lay them out just like that right there. We're just going to cut this into strips. Cut across these. And then we're going to do the vegetables here in just a minute. Basically, I just want all this chicken cut up into cubes. So, I got that. What do you got right there?
I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of lay the garlic that's gonna go in with the meat over here. And when you get this cut up, kind of give it a good toss for me, if you would please. I still have a pile of garlic here and a pile of ginger that's gonna go in with the vegetables. So tonight, and I mean, when you're making curry, you can make you can use all different types of vegetables. Tonight, I'm using onions and peppers, and then sugar snaps. You could use snow peas, you could use spinach or kale if you want some greens in with it. Trying to think of some of the other things. Eggplant, little eggplants, those little tiny.
Baby eggplants are good.
Yes. In the summertime when we've planted our little bok choys. Our little bok choys are really, really good in the curry. So it's really kind of like stir fry. You can mix it up. You could put carrots. You could put broccoli if you wanted. So how I'm doing my sugar snaps tonight is sometimes they're a little fibrous on the end. And I mean, I could sit here and I could pick all these. It's going to take forever. So I usually just go in and on a diagonal, kind of cut both ends off, get rid of that fibrous piece, and then I'll go in and just cut them in half on the diagonal.
So I'm mixing in this garlic. Let me move this plate so hopefully you can see it a little bit better. Sarah put that garlic in with the chicken, so I just want to kind of mix that in there.
Just give it a little flavor. You could put a little salt on it if you wanted to, a little pepper if you wanted to.
This is probably a hair over a pound. I think we put a pound on the recipe. That'll do. This is probably more along the lines of about a pound and a half, if I had to guess. We got the big one. We're going to do the orange chicken tomorrow night. So we got the big thing of the thighs, the bone-in thighs. So if you haven't watched the orange chicken video, go back and watch that. If you bought, especially the big pack of the chicken, you can watch that recipe and then you can do that tomorrow night. Really simple and really good.
The spoon is not my friend. It's like the smallest.
You need a fork.
Yeah, something. Sometimes I even add a little bit of the paste. Look, I'm stuck again. To the chicken and kind of work that in. Just like we did the garlic. You're an efficient rice cooker, babe.
I'm telling you, that rice came done quick. You want to mix that in?
Yeah, if you don't mind. You just wash your hands.
We're going to I'm going to throw out here little bonus recipe. Last night, our beautiful daughter Eden,
All right.
she decided to fire up the air fryer and she made the world's greatest deep fried Oreos. Not Orioles, not the bird. Oreos.
Oreos.
Yeah, Oreos. All she did was took, what were those biscuit things?
Oh, crescent rolls.
Crescent roll mix, and cut it into little squares, and wrap the Oreos in the crescent roll mix. Put them in the air fryer for 8 minutes.
Sprayed them with some oil.
Sprayed them with a little oil, that's right.
Yes.
Put them in there for 8 minutes, took them out and sprinkled them with powdered sugar.
They were so good.
They were out of this world.
I shouldn't have ate one, but I did because I had to give it a try.
Bonus recipe, deep fried Oreos. I want to say Oreo.
Well, that's because we've been looking at the Oreo birds.
Baltimore Oreos. Anyway, crescent rolls, Oreos. Wrap them up really good, spray them 8 minutes in the air fryer. It was out of this world good.
Really super good.
Do you want me to go ahead and start this top?
You can start it because we're going to go ahead and get that chicken going.
So Sarah's sauce is just now starting to simmer, and this thing is really wearing me right on the edge. I'm going to adjust this.
We probably just lost our foreheads, but it's fine.
Good. So I'm going to turn the stove on, medium high, something like that. Sarah's sauce is going good. There's our beautiful Edie. Say hi, Edie.
Hi. My ears were burning.
Bonus
Your
recipe.
ears were burning. We had a bonus recipe
I know.
Oh, are you making them?
via DD.
No, we had your. You want a little oil in this?
Yes, please.
This is just a tablespoon or so. If you've got a good nonstick pot, you typically don't have to worry about that. Usually, it won't stick very bad, and really, it doesn't matter if it does, because you can scrape it up, especially once you put the vegetables in. So Sarah's sauce is simmering. I've got this pot going on medium-high. You want me to throw this in?
When it gets hot, go for it.
I don't wait.
You never wait. I
Never
always
wait
wait.
for anything. I put the rice in before the water's even boiling.
I know, baby. Full steam ahead.
I am man. Hear me roar. So it's already kind of starting to simmer. Now Sarah's sauce is simmering away. I just gave it a little stir here. When are you going to taste test that? Just for everyone's. I mean, you got something in your hair.
Thank you.
Probably green Cory.
Probably.
It's actually an eggshell.
Wonder how that happened.
It's really not.
It was probably from walking through the woods earlier today. I have twigs and branches in my hair.
I said it was an eggshell.
All right, you've got to start on this stuff.
Oh, I gotta
here.
start on cutting
You have
stuff
things
up.
to do. He's going to cut up the peppers, and we're just going to do thin slices on these, and we will do kind of like 1-inch chunk pieces on this one.
Do you want both these peppers or just one?
It'd be more colorful, pretty if we had both. We probably don't need. You could probably do half of each, but
Okay, that's what I'll do. So if you only have one pepper, we're still only gonna do one.
yeah.
Yeah, you notice too on these peppers, kind of cut that top off there. You don't really want to waste any of this. I mean, once you get the majority of the seeds out of there, cut them in half. Put that half over there. Keep the tops. I know a lot of times it's a little bit of a pain in the butt to cut the tops up, but if you just come through there and you just slice that top up, you're going to get several good pieces out of that. And then when you get to the stem, you just cut around it. I don't really have the best knife for vegetables here, but it'll work out. So I'm just slicing this top up. And then I'll come around, pivot it around a little bit. Pivot it the other way. No reason to waste any of this.
Nope.
Just that easy, and now it's all cut up. And then I'll cut those kind of in half. We've talked about it in the past when we were doing peppers. I always think it's easier and a whole lot safer if you cut your peppers from the inside out.
Yes.
The outside of those tends to be slick, and your knife wants to slide off. And I've got a short, thin-bladed knife here, which is not ideal for cutting these. So I am definitely going to do it from the inside.
Looking good, looking good.
Coming along through here, just cutting these into some julienne strips. These are about 1/8 of an inch, give or take. This is how quick it's all happening.
It will go pretty quick here.
Again, just keep your knife. You want to kind of choke up on the handle of these knives a little bit too. It makes it a little bit easier on this. A lot of times when you're using a bigger knife, it makes it easier too, because you can rest that blade against your fingers. With these small knives and these small blades, not a whole lot you can do with that. So
So I'm giving
Got
the
that?
meat a stir.
meat's going, give it a stir. Got
The
these
reason
all.
why we're starting with the meat is because it takes just a little bit longer to cook. So we wouldn't want to cook the vegetables first, because if you set your vegetables off to the side, they're going to continue to cook. They're just going to go mush. So we want these vegetables to be kind of tender crisp. We don't want them to be mushy. We don't want to overcook vegetables. I think that that's probably, I'm a vegetable lover. I eat vegetables before anything else. But I think that when people cook vegetables, they always overcook vegetables. Try to back off on your cooking times a little bit, and you'll find vegetables to be much more palatable. So you just don't want to overcook them.
Now this you just want in chunks. So what I did was cut it in half. I'll cut that into some pieces. And then I'll just come back. Basically you're going to end up with some pieces about like so. You totally missed that
What?
when I said you just want this in chunks.
Chunks. Please and thank you.
go.
All right.
Let me bring it over there so everybody can see the sauce and see the vegetable.
That already smells so good because she mixed the garlic and some of the curry paste in with the chicken.
Yep. So we're gonna let that go a little bit, cook a little bit longer.
The pink's, well, in a lot of that chicken, the pink's already kind of out. And you'll see Sarah's sauce over here kind of simmering away. Give that a little stir and they can kind of see. You see it's really thin. There's nothing in there that's thickening the sauce. So.
No. So curry sauce is a thinner sauce, and we are letting it reduce down a little bit. And that chicken broth, I use that instead of the water because it's going to add more flavor to it. So really, the only thickening that's going to go on with this sauce is whatever reduces off of it as we cook it down. But in the end, it's going to be a thin sauce.
So we've got right now garlic going on. We've got the ginger. We've got the coconut. If you're doing this at home, if you're following along, your kitchen right now literally smells amazing.
Yep.
Because you've got all these spices going on. You've got the chicken. You've got the garlic that we put in there and the curry paste that we put in there. We've got the sauce going, which is just kind of simmering. And the house really starts to smell good. Now, are you going to put that on something, or are you going to leave it in there and put your veggies in?
I'm going to take and put this on a plate and set it to the side.
Well, I'll go ahead and get you a plate.
They're going to get the recipe without being able to actually see it.
That's right. All right, so I'll probably go ahead and test taste the sauce here because it's smelling the way that I want it to smell. I'm basically smelling ginger, I'm smelling curry, I'm smelling garlic. Oh man, that's good. Okay, so this is my opinion. My opinion is I want a little more of this. This spoon's got to go. Give me a knife or something.
There you go.
I'm going to go ahead and put a decent amount more in there.
That'd be a tablespoon or a teaspoon and a half.
And I know that not everybody's using the fish sauce, but it needs more salt. So if you're not using the fish sauce, go ahead and use, I'd say, about a teaspoon of salt instead. Just needing a little bit of salt. Let's give that a good whisk. It's going to bring the color up too. It's going to get a little bit redder. So there's no exact science to this, I don't think. It's kind of play with it. Oh yeah, that's where I want it. Right about there. That's good. All right.
So you added about another teaspoonful of curry powder to it, or curry paste to it.
Yes.
Not curry powder. That's something that's a little bit misleading to some people. Curry powder is different than curry paste.
Well, that's used more in like Indian curry.
Right.
Which I love Indian curry too, and we can do Indian curry one of these days because I love to make Indian curry as well.
And the difference in Indian curry and Thai curry being?
You know,
No fish sauce.
well, yeah, it's a different flavor profile. Indian curry is more like coriander and cumin and turmeric and chili powder and sometimes cinnamon. It's just in the Thai curry is more along the lines of lemongrass and fish sauce and basil and cilantro. The curry is the same, but it's just where they take it, where they take the flavor profile from there.
Okay. So your meat's done. It's no longer pink.
Yep, we're good on the meat. So we're going to take this and put it on a plate. Is this going to be our final plate? Because I want to do rice first.
Okay.
Let's just do like a holding plate. Dirty and dishes.
Yeah.
More dishes for the kids to clean.
Don't we wish?
Yeah.
There's your scooper. So the curry sauce is really boiling. I'm going to go ahead and turn that down for a little bit. Did you want that to heavy boil?
It's fine. I'm
Okay.
kind of reducing it down a little bit.
So you'll notice too, we didn't add hardly any oil, but look at what you got from that chicken skin, and there's a lot of flavor in all that right there. That came out of the chicken skin and the meat itself, all that moisture.
You will use that with the vegetables.
And
There
it's
would be no reason
full
to
of
waste
flavor.
that.
Right. Hold your thing down there. And if a couple little pieces get left in there, don't worry about it.
Right. So we're gonna just let this chicken sit.
You want these?
Here, let's do this first.
Okay, snap peas, ginger, the rest of the ginger and the garlic.
Yep.
These?
Go ahead. All right, so you're gonna turn your flame way up for this because now basically you're just doing a stir fry. So you want your pan nice and hot.
Heat on high.
Heat's on high. Give it a stir to kind of mix that ginger.
That is absolutely beautiful too, by the way.
Yes, and garlic all within the vegetables because if you leave it at the bottom, it's going to burn, and then that makes things bitter. If ginger burns or garlic burns, it turns bitter. So you want to get it all mixed up in there. Once it's mixed, with the oil, good coating everywhere.
And you can kind of break those onions and stuff up a little bit if you want. It doesn't hurt. I mean, it's one of those things. This recipe comes together nice and quick. It's delicious.
Yeah, I kind of spread it out, help it cook just a little bit more evenly.
So you still have cilantro.
Yes, cilantro is basically a garnish. If we had the basil, let's talk about that because this recipe, I mean, it's going to be great without it, but it would be spot on with it. It's one of those. You would take and you would julienne your basil just like you would your cilantro. Get a nice good chop on it. Your basil would actually go in with your vegetables at the very, very end. Like when you look at your pot and you say, these vegetables are done, that's when your basil goes in. And you just give it a good stir so it fills everything up fragrant, you know, like your kitchen up fragrance-wise. Then you would come over, you would plate it, and then you put the cilantro down on top. So cilantro, you don't really cook cilantro.
So just so everybody can get caught up, we started by starting rice. The rice is already done. Look at this where my hand comes in like from nowhere. Okay, so we started the rice. It got done. We just set it off to the side. Sarah made her sauce, which was curry paste, coconut milk, ginger, and garlic. And that's this.
Chicken
And
stock.
chicken stock. Okay,
And
I'm
some
sorry.
fish
About a
sauce.
cup of chicken broth and a little fish sauce.
Yes.
Then we cut up the chicken. We cooked it in this pot. And then we took it out. We left all the juices in there and we dropped in our vegetables. Now Sarah's stir frying this. We've got our cooked chicken over here. So that should kind of get everybody caught up with where we are.
Yes, and we're looking for tender crisp on the vegetables.
Don't overcook them, people.
No
Nobody
soggy
wants them
vegetables.
mushy and soggy.
So we're not quite there yet. Our sauce, I'm still just kind of letting this ride. It's reducing a little bit. So basically all you're doing is cooking some of the moisture content out of your coconut milk and your chicken broth, but it's leaving behind all the flavor.
That smells absolutely delish.
So a lot of cooking is by smell, at least for me. It's experience of cooking things, but for me it's always smell. When I start to smell vegetables, you're almost there. So it's like you're cooking the vegetables. At first you're not smelling anything, and then all of a sudden you start to smell those vegetables. It means that cooking process is really, it's doing its thing. And then you're not, if you're looking for tender crisp, you're not far from pulling them. So we're almost there. And that sauce is looking perfect.
Yeah, that sauce is gonna be good. You gonna give it one more little taste test?
Yeah, see how it's kind of coating my spoon?
Mm-hmm.
But it's still pretty runny.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's what you're looking for. Why don't you taste test it, baby?
A little bit hotter than what I thought it was.
Was it boiling hot?
It was a tad bit hot.
All right, I'm thinking these vegetables
Okay.
are just about done. So why don't you take the camera down to the end over there.
And we're going to put all this together. Just like we know what we're doing.
Okie dokie.
So Sarah's got the rice.
We've got a big plate here.
Let me just bring this over so everybody can see this and see that. I want everybody to see this. So here's our giant plate. Let me move our garbage.
So rice goes down first. And there we go.
Just cooked white rice.
That's exactly right. Your vegetables are going to go down next. Tender crisp. Boy, that's beautiful.
That is gorgeous.
There's nothing more beautiful than
Snap peas, onions, red peppers, yellow peppers.
all right. Chicken's going to go down next. It's right here on top. Got a lot of chicken.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be good.
Yeah.
I better get that piece out of the way.
Uh-huh. All right, going down over the top there. Give this one last little stir. Ooh, we got a mess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we didn't really keep our pots down.
All right, so we're literally just gonna pour this all over the top, and then we need to get that cilantro cut up real quick. So this is all going down over the top, over everything. Shawn's
That's it.
cutting up that
I
cilantro.
don't know if you can see me or not, and you may have moved that. We need to look. You may have moved that right out there.
Okay.
Here, let me turn it just slightly this way.
All I'm doing is just roughly chopping this up. We just want this in smaller pieces. This we grew. It is out in our flower bed. It comes back every year. So if you want to start a little bit of cilantro, it does come back every year, or at least ours does. You want the whole thing on there?
Yeah, all of it. Let's go. We don't have the basil.
So we're hitting this. This is going to be probably, by the time you did it, 1/8 of a cup maybe. Something like that. It's not a ton. It's enough just to give it a good color. So can they see everything?
I think so.
Well, they need to see our smiling faces with this. Let me move this back here.
One big, beautiful
One
plate.
big, giant curry. We call it, she calls it curry.
Yeah, red Thai curry.
So in 40 minutes, 42 minutes, we have made completely beginning to end a Thai red curry. I'm going to try this just to prove to you all that you're not going to choke out.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane. That is seriously one of the biggest flavor profiles you will ever get on anything. It's a little spicy, it's a little sweet. You get the cilantro in it, you get the vegetables. The chicken's perfectly cooked. That is incredible.
Incredible food. My
Easy
favorite.
to make. Sarah's
It really
all-time favorite dish. Next week, we have a big show coming.
Yes.
We'll probably post on Friday because there is a step you need to do ahead of time on that. So be looking Friday. Big show. Maybe not quite as big as this because this is the world's biggest show.
Whatever.
But it's going to be good. I'm going to have one more taste so everybody trusts us.
Are you going to tell people what you're making?
Mm-mm.
No, we're not.
Surprise for Friday.
Oh, it's a surprise for Friday. Okay.
Mm.
So good. Seriously, give it a try. It's a little bit out of, some people's comfort zone, but it's so delicious.
It's fantastic. Hope you all enjoy it. If you got a little sriracha, this
Yes.
is the place to put it. Right over the top of it. I'm sure we've got some in our 9,000 bottles of hot sauce that we keep on hand.
Mm-hmm.
Good to see you all. Check in Friday. Big thing coming next week. Enjoy this curry. That's fantastic. She rocked it out.
I don't know how to turn that off. Why am I walking over there?
While you're turning it off, I'll